Many times I felt like people didn't look at me as a human being. They just saw that I was a Muslim because you wore the headscarf. Nobody saw me as a girl. Nobody saw me as a black woman. Nobody saw me as anything else but a hijabi.
When people see Sabrina Abdallah, they tend to make assumptions about her and her life because of the hijab or the headscarf that she wears.
My parents made me. I feel like that's how they perceive it. Like, oh, I'm pretty sure her parents made her wear it, or her brothers or father forced her into wearing the headscarf. But little did they know that it was my decision. At such a young age, it was my decision. In the 4th grade, just randomly went to my mom and I said, I want to wear the headscarf. And she was so happy. She was like, really? Oh my gosh, okay. Here, go take the hijab and wear it. And the first day I wore the headscarf, it was so windy that people literally thought, oh, she's just wearing the headscarf because it's cold.
She is 19 years old now and has worn the hijab every day since then.
Now, I continue to wear it because it has become a part of my identity. And everywhere I go, it represents me as a holistic person. And it's more than just this scarf on my head. It's how I act when I'm around certain people. It's how I'm perceived to them. It's beyond the scope of just this headscarf.
As a Muslim woman, Sabrina wears the hijab as an expression of her faith and to signify her servitude to God. The hijab is also about modesty, about valuing the intellectual rather than the physical.
I'm covered and I want to protect myself, but I also don't want to be perceived as what's on the outside of me. I want you to see me as a human being. I want you to see me as a person who's knowledgeable, a person who's aware. I want you to see me as a human being because I am a person and I have a mind of my own.
Sabrina has a very positive relationship with the hijab, but not everyone has the same respect for and understanding of it.
I've had teachers pull my headscarf off. Teachers pull my headscarf off and say, honey, you can't wear hats in the building. Last time I thought this was a scarf.
Like many children, Sabrina did not fully understand the ignorance and prejudice in her community.
I was just so oblivious to, I was colorblind. Everybody loves everybody. And there's no such thing as racism. That ended when slavery ended. And there's no such thing as people hate each other.
As she grew up, Sabrina realized that racism and prejudice still exist in America because she experienced them firsthand.
I'm a Muslim, I am a woman, and I'm African. Having these identities are very hard in a predominantly white society because sometimes you feel threatened. Sometimes you hear words that you either want to respond to or you either want to run away from. And it tells you that you are not safe here. It makes you feel like you're the other.
When she was in 9th grade, Sabrina found an outlet for her experiences and frustrations: poetry. At first, her poetry just expressed her sadness and her anger, but soon she found more than just an outlet in poetry. She also found a voice.
There's nothing I can't put into words, and I started to write about life. I started to write about stories. I started to write about what it means to value my identities.
Sabrina often finds herself writing about race and the different social problems and injustice in the world.
It's a way for me to cope with what I've been through and for me to overcome these barriers. And I also write about these issues because it seems to me like I lose sleep over them. And so when it comes to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, I seriously cannot sleep because I'm thinking about so-and-so's issues, it's where I'm like, okay, just write about it. Just write. And maybe that feeling of disgust, that feeling of being super overwhelmed will go away.
One such poem that Sabrina wrote is called Silenced by Salience and is about the schools to prison pipeline. Salience is the state or condition of being prominent. For Sabrina's poem, salience means your obvious identities.
Am I not smart? Because high-stake testings tells me I'm better left to rot. You know I'm not stupid. I know I'm not stupid. So why am I pushed to the margins? I know I'm not a bad kid, but why are my hands in cuffs? You see, these hands in cuffs, they don't render judgments. They simply raise high and ask a question, but I'm silenced because my words seem to sting and my wings are invisible for your ass to see. So it's easier to call on the person behind me. Those false conceptions lead me and everyone else who looks like me to prison, making verdicts off emotions and passing laws. Zero tolerance for my existence makes death more peaceful. Kicking kids out of school so they reach the streets first, victimized by your policies and what you call justice. Sending kids to prison only to spark climates, correctional facilities, and matching garments. Giving rights to officers so they can frisk me? No, that doesn't correct me.
Poetry is a way to vent, but Sabrina also hopes that her words can inspire change.
And I don't think it's a never-ending cycle. Like, I truly have hope, and I truly believe that these systems and these classes and any isms could really be broken, because I do think they're accidents, and I do think they came off on a wrong foot. And so I do believe that you can fix things.
As she has gotten older, Sabrina has embraced the title of poet and has begun to share her poetry.
It was like a way for me to vent. It was never really like, oh my gosh, I'm a poet, now I'm gonna go share it with the world. But I feel like some of the things I write are worth sharing.
Although she loves poetry, Sabrina is studying biomedical engineering at the University of Utah with an emphasis in global health.
People really get confused about me. They're like, wait, you're majoring in engineering, but you like fashion and you write poetry? And I'm just like, yeah, that's normal. It should be.
Sabrina finds her motivation to work hard from the examples of her family and the experiences they have been through. Her family were refugees from the civil war in Somalia and went to Kenya to escape the fighting. Sabrina was born in Kenya and her family moved to America 2 years later.
I don't remember much from Kenya because I was 2 years old, but when I came to America, my mom, till this day, always tells me stories, and every time she sees me talking about my privileges, she's like, do you remember when you had 2 dresses? And she said, I'd give you one for one day while I wash the other so you can wear something tomorrow. It just made me realize that how far we've come, how many obstacles we've overcome as a family. Growing up in Kenya was the hardest part of our lives because that's when we faced poverty, where we faced being homeless, where we faced a lot of other insecurities, especially financial stability.
Many other experiences from Africa continue to impact Sabrina and her family. When they first came to America, both of Sabrina's parents worked, but after a while, her mother decided to stay home with the children.
They were so terrified of leaving us at home that my mom stopped going to work, stopped going to school, just so she can be in the house with us because of post-traumatic stress, because of the war, because she lost 2 children from gunpowder.
Sabrina has grown up watching her father provide for their whole family. She takes a lot of her motivation from him.
It was hard on my dad, being the breadwinner, because he was providing for almost 10, 11 people. But he managed to do it. Until this day, working at the same job for 15 years. And sometimes I'm like, how do you do it? So that's why I'm in school. So I can provide my family, my future family, with the resources and access that I didn't have. And that my parents couldn't give to me.
She wants to succeed for personal reasons, but Sabrina also hopes to help others with her success.
Many other people here who came to America don't have the opportunity and access that I do. And so I really do hope that I can use my privileges to help others who don't have any voices, or whose voices have been taken away from them, who don't have fresh water, who are living in poverty. Like I said, it's an accident and it can be overcome, and nobody has to suffer.